I've been hearing a whole bunch of bull job over the last day about this Alabama versus SMU debate, and is the college football playoff 12-team format really a good thing? Because you got a team like Oregon, who's the 1 seed, getting punished because they have to face tougher competition than a team like Penn State, who, while they are the 6th seed and while they have 2 losses where Oregon's undefeated, they get easier competition. Supposedly, it's what's supposed to be easier competition than what Oregon's going to get, because Oregon, who's the 1 seed, has to face the winner of Tennessee or Ohio State, while Penn State plays SMU at first and then Boise State second. While SMU and Boise State are good schools that I think are going to be good games to watch against Penn State, because I do believe Penn State will beat SMU, and I also believe Penn State would beat Boise State if they were to play. Anyways, but what I'm saying is, while I do believe Penn State will win, while I do believe Penn State is in a class that these schools aren't ready for yet, what I will also say is, it's not necessarily just bums. But what I will also say is, if I'm Oregon, I would much rather be facing SMU and then Boise State or something like that, or an SMU or a Boise State, like something like that, over the winner of Tennessee or Ohio State. This is a Tennessee team that beat I can't think. Did they beat Georgia? This is a Tennessee team that I want to say beat Georgia. This is a Tennessee, or was it? I don't remember. I have to look. No, Tennessee team lost to Georgia, so Georgia beat Tennessee. That's what it was. But this is a Tennessee team that beat Bama. That's who it was. I couldn't think of who they beat. So this is a Tennessee team that beat Bama. And this is a Tennessee team that beat NC State, blew the hell out of NC State when NC State was ranked, beat Oklahoma, who was ranked at the time, beat Florida, and it's a rivalry game, so that's never just an easy game, even though this wasn't Florida's best season, beat Kentucky, blew the hell out of Mississippi State. Did they lose by 2 touchdowns to Georgia? Yes. But then they beat Vanderbilt, which is a school that team like Alabama lost to 2 times, right? Like, this is a Tennessee team that is very good. So is this college football playoff thing is this 12-team playoff even really a good thing? First of all, let me compose my thoughts, and let me tell you right now that I am a believer that SMU deserved their spot. This is an Alabama team that lost to Oklahoma, who ended up being 6-6, that lost to Tennessee, which is a respectable loss. You lose to Tennessee. Tennessee, like I said, that's a good team. You lost to them by a touchdown. I cannot hate on you for that. If you're Alabama, I cannot say, hey, losing to Tennessee is embarrassing, because guess what? It's not. That's an all right loss for me. Not a good loss, but that's an all right loss. But losing 24-3 to 6-6 Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that got dogged by Texas, who got beat by Georgia twice. So you could beat Georgia, who beat Texas twice, but then you get dog-walked by Oklahoma, who Texas dog-walked. This is an Alabama team that dog-walked LSU, dog-walked Mizzou, but then loses to Tennessee by a touchdown, beats South Carolina by only 2 points, loses to Vanderbilt by 5, beats Georgia by a touchdown, blows the doors off of Wisconsin, was in a competitive game with South Florida, a game that ended up being a blowout. This is an Alabama team that, don't get me wrong, after that Georgia win, I was thinking, oh, this Alabama team might just be the best team in the country. But then I looked at it and something told me, you know what, Vanderbilt's going to beat Bama, and I placed a $5 bet on it, and I won $63. Thank you, God, for allowing me to have that dream, because it was a dream. I had a dream that Vanderbilt beat Bama, and it was like the week before. It was like literally, I think it was either a day after or 2 days after Georgia beat Bama, or Bama beat Georgia. So this is a Bama team that, while they are good and while they were looking really, really dominant to start the season, then you lose to Vanderbilt, allow 40 points to Vanderbilt, and then you come in a close game to South Carolina, who had just lost to Tennessee, got the doors blown off them by Tennessee so bad that they fell out of the rankings, and then you beat them by only 2 points. And then you place Tennessee, so you just skated by the week before after losing the prior week to an unranked Vanderbilt team. A team that ended up becoming ranked eventually, but didn't stay that way for very long. So you, in the span of 4 weeks, beat Georgia by a touchdown, lose to Vanderbilt by 5, beat South Carolina by 2, unranked South Carolina, by the way, and then lose to Tennessee by a touchdown. But then immediately after that, you beat 21 Missouri by 34 points. You don't even let Mizzou score. You beat LSU by 30 points, and then you go and you play Mercer. I don't really give a damn about Mercer, but then you get the doors blown off of you by 6-6 Oklahoma? What? Bama? It doesn't make sense. And I've been seeing people on Twitter talking about Bama's never going to schedule a hard game again. We're acting like Alabama lost to we're acting like they lost all the games they lost. They lost to Tennessee, they lost to Georgia, and they lost to, let's say they would have lost to like LSU or Missouri or something. You're acting like they lost to like 3 ranked teams. Buddy, they lost to Vanderbilt, who was unranked. The Tennessee loss, I'll give you, and then you lose to Oklahoma, who was unranked. Y'all are acting like the Alabama just scheduled the toughest season of all time when they didn't. You just lost to bad teams. You lost to mediocre teams. And you as Alabama are not supposed to be scared to schedule games against mediocre teams. Alabama has never done that in my entire lifetime. Sure, Alabama's going to have the Mercers in there. They're going to have the South Floridas. They're going to have the games where they're just going to have super Western Kentucky. They're going to have super dominant, easy wins. Every team in college football does that, whatever. I don't like it, but whatever. Every team does it. I'm not going to single out Bama for that. But then you want to say just because you have a season where SMU gets into the playoff over you and you lose 3 games, so you miss the 12-team playoff, you say, you know what, we're never going to schedule a hard non-conference or even a hard in-conference game if it's not a rival again. What? You're acting like you literally just faced like 12 all-time great teams back to back to back. Buddy, you didn't. You didn't. You lose to 6-6 Oklahoma, like 6-6 Vanderbilt, and then Tennessee, who's actually good. Congrats, you lost to one fucking good team the whole season, and now you're crying. Like, I just don't get it, bro. SMU deserved their spot. They lost to BYU, who was a top 15 ranked team for a couple weeks this year, a few, like, consecutive weeks this year. And then they lose to Clemson, we know Clemson, and that was in the ACC Championship. It's their first year in the ACC. They made it to the ACC Championship. Sure, Penn State has 2 losses, and their only ranked win is versus Illinois, who wasn't a great team, but was a decent team. That's not impressive. But then you take into account what their 2 losses are. Their 2 losses are by a combined 14 or maybe 20 points, 21 points to 2 top 3 ranked teams in the nation. Sure, they don't have very many respectable wins, but they got those 2 damn losses are very, 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 very much more respectable than Alabama's 3 losses. I respect both of Penn State's losses more than I respect any single one of Alabama's losses. So we can't just sit here and say, oh, well, just because Bama's in the SEC and just because they have 3 losses, it's a different scale. The SEC might be the best conference. It just might be. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But when you have the money that Alabama has, I feel like you have ways to compensate for being in the best conference because you have the most money. You should be able to get the most recruits. You are like the most storied franchise in college football history, at least recent history. Y'all should be able to overcome this. I get Nick Saban retired, but you just got a guy who literally went to a national who went to did Texas go? Who went to a national championship last year. I'm pretty sure it was Washington versus Michigan. I don't remember if it was, but I'm pretty sure it was. You have a coach that was just in the national championship last year. So don't act like you just replaced Saban with some guy off the street. Some guy that was working at Sheetz or McDonald's 2 days before you hired him. Don't pretend like the Kalen DeBoer is nobody. Sure, I don't believe he's fucking Nick Saban, but he's not nobody. You'd rather have him than Brian Kelly, I bet. Like, come on, bro. Like, we can't sit here and act like just because Bama didn't make it that the 12-team playoff is now, all of a sudden a bad thing, or because Oregon's got some comp that the playoff is now a bad thing, or that the format sucks. It's the first year of it. Can we give it more than a year before we're saying that the format is ass? Can we give it more than a year before we're saying that it's flawed, that it's never going to work, that the system sucks, that we should go back to the 4-team? Because every single year we were having the 4-team, I was hearing complaints about teams being left out, and I always was one of the people that was like, there was really a lot of arguments when it came down to 3, 4, 5, 6. Especially last year. Up until Florida State lost by 60. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, before the bowl games, I was one of those guys on Selection Sunday who was like, there's conversations, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was one of those people, and now that we're actually getting it, now that we're actually seeing teams like SMU, like Boise State, teams that would almost never make a college football playoff in the 4-team format, now that we've got these teams making it, we got people complaining about the fact that they made it. We got people discrediting them because of the conference they're in. Did you want them to participate or not? Because these were the same people that were advocating for the fucking 12-team playoff that were bored of seeing the same 5 or 6 teams in the conversation every single year. Which is it? Pick a side. Because if you want to see these teams in the college football playoff, then you should at least be okay with this format. Now, we could talk about the seeding and everything and how that maybe could be changed after this year. We can talk about that. But you should at least think that the format is a good idea, that it should at least deserve some time so we can fucking see if it has a chance. But if you were on that side where you're saying I like it the way it is, I want to see these teams because these teams they're just better than everybody else. These other teams don't deserve a chance. These conferences are that much worse. Then stay on that side. You should have never been advocating for the 12-team format anyway. What did you want it to see? 6 teams from the Big Ten, 6 teams from the SEC every fucking year in the top 12? You would have been bored with that shit after a year. You would have been complaining about that shit in year 1. Like, people are just looking for stuff to be mad about, bro. We've got to start being grateful for what we have while we have it, because these are things that we prayed for in the past. When you're in a relationship and y'all are having problems, or you're overthinking, or you're in your own head and everything, you got to remember, what I'm complaining about, what I'm worried about, what I'm stressed about is something that I prayed for in the past. We prayed for this 12-team format in the past. A lot of us did. Now that we've got it, we're complaining about it. Let's give it a chance first. Let's fight to see if it works first. Because right now, if you ask me, the 12-team format did exactly what it was supposed to do so far. So quit complaining, bro. Be happy. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, ever. I, so far, am liking the 12-team more than the 4-team. I am excited to watch these playoffs. It feels like it's more college football, which I love. I think these formats are going to be great. I think SMU versus Penn State is going to be a great game. I think Ohio State versus Tennessee is going to be a great game. Let me see what these other games are, bro. Let me go look at the rest of them because I have the bracket on my phone. I think Clemson versus Texas could very well be a good game because Quinn Ewers loves to be ass. I think Indiana versus Notre Dame might just be the best game of the fucking weekend. Or of that day, because it's not all on the same. No, I think the first round might all be on the same day. I don't know. I think it's that Saturday, like the 21st, like the Saturday right before Christmas. I don't know. But anyways, like I think these could all four be great games. Will they all be? Likely no, but I would love it if they were. Like people, just because your team didn't make it and your team is one of the all-time great college football franchises does not mean that the system is completely fucked up or flawed. Let's give it a chance. Just because you're overthinking in a relationship, just because you may be having anxiety about something, or you may be complaining about something in a relationship, doesn't mean your partner's feeling the same way. And you might be complaining about doing stuff that you prayed to have a partner to do stuff with in the past. You was praying that you would have a woman of God and that you would be able to be a man of God and lead the relationship, but then you complain when that woman of God is asking you to get up off your lazy butt and do stuff all the time. Especially when she's pregnant. You got to get out of your own head with that stuff, bro. You got to be like, you're thinking in your head, am I not doing enough? When really in your head, you should be thinking, love this woman like Jesus loved the church. I should be willing to sacrifice everything in my body for her. I should be willing to do everything she asks and more without her even asking for it. I don't know what I'm even talking about no more, but yeah, I'm yapping now, so I'm going to end the video. But the 12-team format is a good thing. Stop complaining.